On August 26th, a severe flash flood and landslide struck the Rasuwa area near the border between Nepal and China. It swept away rocks, ice, soil, and everything in its path, turning roads and residential areas into a sea of mud within minutes. What makes this especially concerning is that the area did not record heavy rainfall during the 2 days before the disaster. According to initial analysis, a massive amount of ice and rock from the high mountains collapsed into the Glacial River, blocking the flow of water and creating a temporary lake. Then, the natural dam became unstable. The water trapped behind it was suddenly released, sending mud, rocks, and massive amounts of debris downstream. Hundreds of people are still missing, and the death toll continues to be updated. And the scariest part is that by the time you see a flood like this with your own eyes, it may already be too late to run. But this is not the first time the people of Nepal have faced the terrifying power of nature. So how have the people of Nepal learned to live and survive among some of the most dangerous mountains in the world? In this video, join J30 World Discovery to find out. How have the people of Nepal survived thousands of years living with deadly glacial flash floods? Nepal is a small country nestled in the Himalayas. It is home to some of the highest mountains in the world, deep valleys, fast-flowing rivers, and slopes so steep that even a small change can trigger a landslide. During the monsoon season, water rushes down from the mountains at tremendous speeds. And in the high-altitude regions, snow, ice, and glacial lakes create another danger. A single major landslide can block a river, and when the water behind it is suddenly released, it can turn into a devastating flash flood. That's why in Nepal, natural disasters are not an unfamiliar concept. They are something many people grow up with. And personally, I think this is what makes life in Nepal so different. In many parts of the world, people try to control nature. But in the Himalayas, you quickly realize that the mountains are far more powerful than anything humans can control. So people have to learn how to adapt. For thousands of years, the people of Nepal have built their lives around the terrain they have. You can see villages built along mountain slopes, narrow roads winding along cliffs, and fields divided into different levels. These are terraced fields. Instead of trying to turn a steep mountain slope into flat land, people divide it into multiple levels. This helps hold the soil in place, control water flow, and create land that can be farmed. Homes also have to adapt to local conditions. In many mountainous areas, building materials, the location of homes, and the layout of villages are all influenced by the terrain, climate, and available resources. Of course, this doesn't mean these villages can withstand every natural disaster. No house can defeat a massive mudflow. But over generations, people have learned one simple principle. If you can't change the mountain, learn how to live on it. Nepal's rivers may look beautiful from a distance, but they are also one of the most dangerous forces in the Himalayas. Water constantly flows down from the high mountains into narrow valleys. And when large amounts of ice, rock, or soil suddenly fall into a river, everything can change within minutes. What happened in Rasuwa is a perfect example. A landslide can create a natural dam. Behind it, millions of cubic meters of water can become trapped. During that time, people downstream may have no idea that a massive threat is forming above them, until the dam breaks. At that point, the water is no longer just water. It carries rocks, mud, trees, and everything else caught in its path. That's why floods like these are often described as mobile concrete. And if you're in a valley when one appears, running or driving away may no longer be an option. So, after thousands of years of living with natural disasters, what survival strategies have the people of Nepal developed? 1. Understand the terrain. Local people often know exactly which roads are vulnerable to landslides, which areas are low-lying, and where they can go when the water rises. This knowledge isn't always found on a map. It's found in the experience of people who have lived there for years. 2. Watch nature. River levels change. Rocks begin to fall. Cracks appear on mountain slopes. The water suddenly becomes unusually muddy. Small signs can sometimes signal a much bigger problem. For people living in the mountains, observing the environment around them is almost a part of everyday life. 3. Build around the terrain. Homes, roads, terraced fields, and villages all have to adapt to the mountains. You can't build the same way you would on a vast, flat plain. 4. Know the way to higher ground. During a flash flood, your location can be more important than your speed. If you're near a river or inside a narrow valley, the most important thing is knowing where higher ground is, and you have to move before the flood arrives. 5. Rely on the community. In remote areas, rescue teams can take a long time to reach people. That's why neighbors are often the first ones to warn and help each other. One person who spots danger can save an entire group if the warning comes early enough. It's a very ancient form of survival. One person recognizes the danger and the whole community survives. 6. Prepare instead of simply reacting. Natural disasters can happen too quickly for people to start preparing after they have already arrived. That's why things like evacuation plans, shelters, and warning systems are becoming increasingly important. 7. Combine experience with technology. Today, Nepal doesn't rely only on what people can see with their own eyes. Scientists use satellite imagery, seismic data, hydrological data, and monitoring technology to track changes across the Himalayas. Even the latest disaster is being analyzed by experts using different types of data. This may be the biggest change of all. Thousands of years of experience are now being combined with 21st century technology. But the Himalayas are changing. And this is the worrying part. Nepal contributes very little to global greenhouse gas emissions, yet the country is located in one of the regions at significant risk from climate change. Rising temperatures can change snow and ice conditions in the Himalayas. Glacial lakes can expand. Extreme rainfall can increase the risk of flash floods and landslides in many areas. That forces a country that has lived with natural disasters for generations to face a new question. Will the lessons of the past be enough for the disasters of the future? And after what just happened in Rasuwa, that question becomes even more difficult to ignore. Of course, scientists are still investigating the exact cause of the latest disaster. But one thing is almost certain. The Himalayas are not standing still, and neither can the people who live beneath them. When I look at the small villages surrounded by Nepal's enormous mountains, I always get the feeling that the people here are living in an endless negotiation with nature. They can't stop mountains from collapsing. They can't tell rivers to stop flowing. They can't stop snow from falling or ice from melting. What they can do is understand more, prepare better, and react faster. That may be how the people of Nepal have survived for thousands of years. And perhaps the greatest lesson from Nepal isn't how humans can defeat nature. It's learning that we never truly can. You don't survive the Himalayas by controlling them. You survive by understanding them. If you want to discover how people around the world adapt and survive in some of the harshest environments on Earth, subscribe to J30 World Discovery. And let me know, if you lived in Nepal, what would scare you the most? Earthquakes, landslides, or sudden flash floods? I'll see you in the next video.